Today's lesson is going to be just like yesterday's lesson. The only thing we're going to do is change the numbers a little bit. I want to make sure you have a second day to process all of this information and make sure that you understand it in its entirety before we proceed and go forward. Okay? Okay, strange. All right. Adobe Reader. Why is that not there? Well, this will work. Okay, so a quick review of some sign number situations to make sure that we're understanding and rocking this stuff. Remember the analogy that I drew yesterday is that this is the foundation. Imagine trying to play soccer if you didn't know how to run, right? Imagine trying to play basketball if you couldn't dribble. In wrestling, there's a thing called stance. Imagine if you're trying to wrestle if you didn't have stance. You can't do it. And just like you need to be able to run to play soccer and you need to be able to do those other things for the other sports, in math, if you can't do sign numbers, you could know how to do everything else in math, but you will get lots and lots and lots of questions wrong just because you don't know sign numbers. Because sign numbers is a part of everything you do in math in the same exact way that running is a part of everything you do in soccer, or dribbling is a part of almost everything you do in basketball. So it's a very similar idea, and we should be getting to the point now where we look at these questions and we're very comfortable with them. What is -4 plus 2? Talk to me. Somebody raise a hand. Rach?
Well, I was going to say, are you going to go over the quiz?
No. That was why I said you got to talk to each other today. Remember I went over it yesterday? What's -4 plus 2? Go ahead, Chris.
-2.
-2. Excellent. What's -8 minus a -3? Somebody help me out here. Rach?
-5.
-5 is correct. Remember, circle agregar. Next, 7 times -4. Ms. Abasilos?
-28.
-28 is correct. 9 squared. 81. Good job. -9 squared. Very good. Remember, that means square the 9, then negate it. -81 is perfect. -9 in parentheses squared. Someone who hasn't helped me yet. Someone who has not helped me yet. Go ahead. 81 is correct because this means -9 times -9. 9 times 9 is 81. When I multiply by a negative, I have to change the first sign. It's positive. -1 to the third power. Mr. Roach.
-1 to the third power. I got -1.
-1 is correct. Very good. Any questions on 1 through 7? If you can get all of those right. Did anybody get all of those right? Man, that's awesome. That's really, really good. That means your foundation is very strong. And as we go throughout the year, you don't have to ever worry about stuff that bothered you way back when. That you're going to be able to concentrate just on the new stuff. And your grades are going to go up a lot because of it. If you didn't, it doesn't make you bad. It just means you're going to have to work some more to get it done. I look at a guy like Mr. Golden. He's very talented with doing stuff at his house, and I can do stuff at my house too. I'm not as good as him naturally, and he does things a lot quicker, but I could still do a good job in longer time than he does. And if math is not your favorite thing, it doesn't make you a better or worse person than anybody around you. It just means you're going to have to work a little harder at it and do it a little bit longer in order to get similar results to some other people. And that's not a bad thing. That's okay. That's allowed. All right, first question, simplify. Number 2A, -4x squared times -3x to the 7th. What are we going to get there? Boys, we're paying attention here, right? Somebody who hasn't helped me yet, you guys are going to learn the trick. The trick is to volunteer on the easier ones. Carmen, what do we get?
That's number 2, right?
2A, yes. 12x to the 9th is perfect. Nicely done. Next one. 24, blah, 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 over 8, blah, blah, blah. Derek, what do we get?
3x 12, and then y 6.
No. When you're dividing, you don't add the exponents. Guys, help them out. When we're dividing, what do we do to those exponents? Everybody?
Subtract.
Subtract them. 7 minus 5 is 2. And then, hey, listen, y to the 3rd over y to the 3rd. I like to just say die, as long as it's the same amount of them. If you wrote y to the 0, you have to remember that anything to the 0 power is 1. So I would cross that off and I would just get 3x squared. Okay? 2n to the 4th to the 4th. Now yesterday, I showed you how to do this way. 2n to the 4th times 2n to the 4th times 2n to the 4th times 2n to the 4th. And we said multiply coefficients, add exponents. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. Rach, you with me here? Right, once again, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. And then add exponents. N to the fourth times n to the fourth, add them, 8, add another 4, 12, add another 4, 16. So it's 16 n to the 16. Okay? All right. Core skills there. Very, very very important core skills. I don't necessarily expect you to get them all right today, but I do expect that sometime within the next week, every person in the class can look at every one of those questions, and except when you make a sloppy mistake, which happens to everybody, myself included, except when you make a sloppy mistake, I expect you to be able to say, oh, I know how to do that. Yeah, that's easy. That's what we're looking for. Okay. Now, for the rest of today, we're going to review the kind of questions we did yesterday. And then I also want to go back to something I don't think I taught particularly well. Now, look at this question and just see if you can see what the difference is between this question today and what this question was yesterday. Does anybody see the difference? It almost looks the same.
The numbers,
What about the numbers?
they changed.
Be specific.
7N.
They have an N. One of them's 4N, one of them's 7N. I would like you to do number 1, and then how do you find its area, and what is the area? Go ahead. Okay, so here's my rectangle. I drew it out already. You should have it too. How do you find area, guys? Rich?
Length times width.
Length times width. Nicely done. And then, what is the area of this one? Well, what is the length of this guy? 7n if you want, 4n, I don't care. The other one here, 4n. Now, when I do 7n times 4n, what do I get?
28N.
28, not n.
And
What's the exponent here?
2.
1, right? What's the exponent here? 1. Now, pretend this had nothing to do with the rectangle for a minute. And I just gave you the question, do 7n times 7n. Isn't the rule to multiply coefficients and add exponents? Are you with me on that? Right? Everybody say it. Multiply coefficients, add exponents. Go ahead.
Multiply coefficients and exponents.
What is a coefficient again?
The
Number in front. So 4 times 7 is 28, and n to the first times n to the first, I add exponents, is n to the second. So we should get, for the area, 28n to the second. Now, let's just take a second to talk about this area. Not that you guys do this very often, but did your parents at any point in time ever buy a new carpet?
Yeah.
Or did they like paint the walls? Okay, maybe do some brickwork around the yard. These things all involve area. Like when you put these tiles down, first off, what shape do the tiles on the floor make? Square. Do you think it's an accident that this comes out to be squared and that those shapes are squares?
No.
There is no coincidence here. Okay? When you go shopping for carpet, you buy square yards of carpet. If you're doing painting the walls, you buy gallons that cover so many square feet. If you buy a house, they always talk about how many square feet the house is, meaning the living space, floor space. How much floor space is there in the house? So area is always squared. And the reason area is squared is because we're going to do something to the first power times something to the first power. Now, let's be a little more specific about that and take a look at the next question I have set up. Now I have a rectangle, and the sides are 15 feet and 7 feet. And I want you to treat feet, I know it's a unit, but I want you to treat it like a variable. Like instead of n, it goes, let me say that again. Instead of n, it goes, it's a, so I want 15 times 7. Tell me what I get. Go ahead. Okay, so we know area is length times width, so this is gonna be 15 feet times 7, which is like feet. And I wanna treat this feet as if it was just like 15x times 7x. Now, if I did 15x times 7x, what would I get? 105 what? X squared, right? Because there's really a 1 here and a 1 here, and 1 plus 1 makes 2. So this answer is going to be 105 square feet. And that's where they get the expression square feet from. They get it because when you calculate these numbers, you're going to do feet times feet to get feet squared, okay? The shape below is a square. Find the area of the square if the side is 9 meters. Go ahead.
How is feet versus a rectangle square?
Oh, it's how many, like, if you had a rectangle like this, it's how many squares you could fit in a rectangle,
Okay.
like the floor. Okay. Okay, so once again, what shape is this, everybody? Rach, you with me here today? Good. What shape is this, Rach?
Square?
Excellent. And it says the side is 9m. Now, I don't really care if you look at this as 9m or 9 meters. You do it the same either way. How do I find area? Ishmael, let's go ahead in the game. How do I find area, buddy? Length times width. Excellent. So I'm going to do 9 meters times 9 meters. Or I could just look at it as, forget the rest of this. If I, I'm not a little guy, but if I was like Stretch Armstrong, and I could like cover this up and stretch my arm out, cover that up, and not be able to see any of this, and I just said, do this question. Just do 9m times 9m, like on the do it. Remember number 2? Just do 9m times 9m. What would you get? 81 what? M squared, right? Because there's a 1 there and a 1 there. And what's the rule? Multiply coefficients and do what to the exponents? Add the exponents. So when we are multiplying, like we are here, length times width, 9m times 9m, I multiply coefficients, 9 times 9 is 81, add exponents, m squared. Now I just want to go back for a second and emphasize this. What would 9m plus 9m be? 18m, that's right. Because when you're adding, the kind of thing never changes. If I add dollars to dollars, I don't get dollars squared, do I?
No.
If I'm doing elephants to elephants, I don't get elephants squared, do I?
You.
No. So if I add to m's, I get more m's. But when I multiply, that's not true. Now I'm going to multiply coefficients and exponents. I get 81m squared. So if you want to look at this as 81 and the variable m squared, fine. If you want to look at it as 81 meters squared, fine. You deal with it the same exact way. Okay. Now, what is the area of a square whose side is 5w squared? What's the area of a square whose side is 5w squared? Give everybody a chance. If you want to draw a picture, you can, or you could just remember how to find the area of a square. Either way. Denise, how do I find the area of a square?
5W to the second.
Times 5w to the second. So I'm going to do 5w squared times 5w squared. What's 5 times 5?
25.
25. And then this is w to the fourth. Excellent. Very good. So I treat it just like I treat a variable. Now let's explore volume. For rectangular prisms, does anybody remember the formula for volume?
Length times width times height?
Very good. Length times width times height. Sometimes I say the area of the base times the height. It's the same thing. Was that what you were going to say?
Did feet.
Yeah, but it said, no, don't add the feet on there. It doesn't say it's in feet. If
Yeah,
it's,
Daddy.
oh, it does?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Then it would be 25w to the 4th feet squared. Very good. Okay. Now, the formula for volume is this. Length times width times height. So now we're going to end up multiplying 3 terms or monomials, whatever we want to say. Give it a shot. See what you think the volume of that guy is. Selena, head in the game. Let's go. You did it already? Let people catch up. Psst, head in the game there, boys. Okay. Now, if I'm going to do this as length times width times height, Spencer, what do you think that answer was?
30
Okay, Max, do you agree or disagree? You agree? All right, well, let's see. 2m times 3m times 5m. 2 times 3 is? You guys need to turn and face forward, right? 2 times 3 is what, everybody? 6 times 5 is? 30. Now, what's the exponent's 1 here every time, and I am multiplying, so what's m to the 1 times m to the 1 times m to the 1? M to the third. Very good. Now, I could look at that as m to the third, or I could look at it as meters cubed. Now, if I look at it as meters cubed, what shape is this?
Rectangle.
It's a rectangular prism, but it looks like a cube, right? Now, before, Angela asked a great question. She said, how come they call it square feet if it's shaped like a rectangle? Why do we call this cubic feet if it's really a rectangular prism? Well, the reason is really simple. I draw, this is 2 meters, so I draw 1 on each side. This is 3, and then this is 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is each one of these shapes? It's three-dimensional, remember that. What is each one of these shapes going to be, guys? They're not squares. Squares is just this side, but remember it goes back into that. Each one of those is a little cube. You guys know what a cube is, right? Right? A cube is like a little tiny square, like an ice cube. Okay? Little tiny square. So we call it 30m to the third, which you can say, or you could say 30m cubed or 30 meters cubed, because the shape that I make every time I do to the third power is the shape of a cube. See here? And then on the back side it would look like this. So you could fit 30 cubes inside that particular shape. Okay? All right. So we now get to number 7. Below is a cube, which means all of the edges are the same size. So here's a picture of a cube. Find the volume if the length of an edge is 3 centimeters. All of the edges are 3 centimeters. Find the volume. Derek, what do you think?
27.
Rach, do you agree?
No, I say 27 centimeters to the third.
Does anybody agree with either Derek or Rachel?
Rachel.
Rachel? Oh, Derek, man, they got you outvoted on this one. All right. Ready? 3 centimeters times 3 centimeters times 3 centimeters. Now, they both agreed that 3 times 3 was 27, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be 27. But what is, remember, centimeters to the first, centimeters to the first, centimeters to the first, is centimeters to the third. And what do we call it to the third power? Cube, because what shape do we make? Cube. Excellent. Very, very good. Okay. Now, I want to take just a second to work a little bit on something that I should have worked on more with you, but we didn't get as far done. By the way, this is your best class of the year so far. You guys have been absolutely awesome today. You did pretty well on your quizzes. You've been very focused during class. You're doing a lot of great work.
Can I get a cookie?
No, you get the cookies on the quizzes. But here's what I want to do. I want to talk about this negative exponent here. See how that says 2 to the negative 3? If it said 2 to the positive 3, what would you do? 2 to the third. How do you do 2 to the third?
3 times 3 times 3.
2 times 2 times 2.
Yeah.
Okay, good. How do you do 2 to the negative 3? Everybody stand up.
Are you gonna yell at us?
We're gonna yell. Chris, up.
Oh, military.
Now, we are going to pretend that I am a drill sergeant. We are in the United States Marine Corps. Hey, bellies in, chest out. Let's go. Now, 10, hut. I am going to say, huh, negative exponent. You are going to say, reciprocal, sir. Huh, negative exponent.
Reciprocal, sir.
That stunk. You don't want to be called a maggot, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Negative exponent.
Sir.
Oh, man, we're getting, get up. We are getting our butts kicked in war. We're the butt kickers. We're not the get butts kicked. Reciprocal, sir. Huh, negative exponent.
Reciprocal, sir.
Say it like you're going to do it to ISIS. Huh, negative exponent.
Reciprocal, sir.
Very good. Papa squat. Now, listen. Watch. What does reciprocal mean? Hey, guys, quiet. What does reciprocal mean in math?
Flip the opposite.
Flip it, right? Flip it upside down. Like if you had 3 7s, the reciprocal would be 7 thirds, right? What if you had 4 fifths? What would the reciprocal be?
5
So you
4.
do negative.
5 fourths. Hold on. 2 is really 2 over 1, right? So what's the reciprocal? 1 over 2. Hey. Now, 2 to the negative 3 is, notice, the 2 really has a bottom on it of 1. So it's going to be 1 over 2 to the positive 3. 5 to the negative 2 is going to be what?
1 over.
1 over 5 to the 2. Notice, negative exponent here, there's nothing negative in the answer. It doesn't mean a negative in the answer, it means reciprocal. 10 to the negative 2 is? 1 over 10 to the 2. What if I said 7 to the negative 3? What would that be? 1 over 7 to the 3. Now, if you want to figure out what it equals, 2 to the third is 8. So that's 1 over 8. What's 5 squared? 25. Okay? All right. Hasta la vista. Vaya con Dios. Toodaloo. Ta-ta. Arrivederci. Smile a lot. Ciao. Arrivederci. Adios, amigos y amigas. I only have to say that about 530 more times, and then I am done saying it forever.
Because he believes all races are equal.
I do believe all races are equal, but I don't think there's any difference between the races.
This is
Except for the percentage of carotene in your picture.
Tomorrow you're gonna grade the homework.
What?
Tomorrow you're gonna be grading the homework.
Are you going to be grading homework?
Or you gonna be grading?
We'll see.
But it says.
Wait, tomorrow we don't have school though.
Oh yeah.
Huh?
So I can do homework. I'm not gonna do homework because you know what?
Do in 2 days.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Alright. This is their